We are filming this right after the Irish premiere of the film in an actual cinema, which is very exciting. And we have a wonderful group of people here who've stayed after the credits to ask questions or hear me talk about stuff or whatever you want to know, you can ask me. That was probably one of the hardest things to do, is take a book of 100 people and narrow it down to the people you see in the film. Because I had so much material. I had 70 hours of interview footage. And that's just the interview footage. That's all the rest of the stuff too. So yeah, it was really hard because obviously I couldn't put all 100 people in. I mean, there are amazing people in the book who didn't make it into the film, just because it would be a 10-hour-long film, and who wants to watch that? Me, but Kickstarter, crowdfunding. So you put out this. I said originally when I did the book, I said I want to do this book and give me money to do this book and get a book in return and stuff like that. And so I raised money for that. That was 2012, so 3 years ago now. At the time, it was the second highest grossing publishing project that Kickstarter had ever done for an atheist book, which I think is pretty cool. Now it's like number 15 or something because there have been more projects since then, but I mean, it's still pretty high. And then I did a Kickstarter to do the funding to make the film. So I've done 2 Kickstarters so far. Stressful, but fun. So, and that's one of the things that really is important for me, is that people came out and supported it. It wasn't just, they weren't just paying lip service to it. They weren't just saying, oh yeah, it's a great idea. They were saying, yeah, it's a great idea, and here's money to make sure it gets done. So it's nice to see that the community really came out and supported it. I was really moved by Julia Sweeney's bit where she talks at the end about focusing on the 10 happiest moments of your life. It was interesting doing this whole project because I spent, so much time traveling and talking to people and having these conversations every single day, that was a moment where I really thought, okay, how does this apply to my life? And actually, I try to do that more and more when I'm having an experience. When I'm, I was in London last week, and I spent a day. I was crazy working on the film, getting the film done and out and everything, which is, it's kind of sad when you're in a new place because you want to go out and explore and do things. So I took a day to go to the British Museum and hang out and go see a show on the West End, and I really made a conscious effort to appreciate it in the moment. And I can actually remember thinking in the moment, this is really, really fun. I'm having a really good time. And I think it also makes you remember that more. You're not just remembering doing it, you're remembering doing it and thinking in the moment how fun it was. And I wanted to make something with the book and with the film that people would, both atheists and religious people, would think, those are perspectives I haven't heard before. I mean, like I said in the film, a lot of the conversation is just about what we don't believe in or what we're fighting against. If you look at a lot of the new atheist stuff, God Delusion, God is Not Great, End of Faith, all that stuff, all the books I read when I was in college, which I think are great, but that's kind of one side of it, and I really was missing the other side of that conversation. So for me, I like the film in that it shows that. And it's not just, religious people are stupid. It's more in depth than that. It's talking about what we do believe in. And I think religious people, if they see it, hopefully would see that too. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like it to be accessible for everybody. We'll see if it is, but that's my aim, is to try to make it accessible to both groups. A sequel. Somebody always asks me about that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Whatever I do next, I want it to be something that I'm really excited about, like I was with this and like I was with the book. So if I come up with something that I'm really excited about, and there are a couple of things that are rolling around in my head and working with other people, So we'll see what happens. That is a line that I tried to walk in the film, is I didn't want it to be too saccharine-y sweet. I didn't want it to be too life's amazing all the time, because it's not. And so I think that's one of the reasons why one of my favorite parts in the film, which is weird to say because I made it, is the chapel in Edinburgh. Because for me at least, that kind of speaks to that, in that what I was trying to say in that moment is that life can also be really terrible. And I can look at these places and see the reasons why we made these is because we are trying to find some way of understanding the world that makes sense, understanding why bad, terrible things are happening. And I can appreciate that people want answers to those questions. But like I say in the film, we're talking to someone who isn't there. Some of the people, I had read their works before, Richard Dawkins in the book version, I just know Penn and Teller, people like that, Julie Sweeney. Other people just through introductions from other people who were already in the book saying, oh, do you have this person, do you have that person? I know them, or I know this person. That's how I found Michael. Michael's in the book, by the way, with his wonderful cat, with Boris the cat. It's one of my, I'm not just saying it is one of my favorite pictures from the book is Michael with Boris. Here's a fun story actually, is Alex Honnold, the rock climber. I found him by I was watching 60 Minutes one day, the TV show, the news magazine, and they had this piece on him. And he's a free soloer, so he climbs Yosemite, you saw at the end, he climbs without ropes. And I saw this piece on him, and I was thinking, oh man, if he's an atheist, I need to get him for my book. And so I just looked it up online. It turns out he was an atheist. And so I sent him an email and I said, hey, I'm doing this book. And he said, this is amazing. I really want to be a part of it. And so he was a part of it. I went to Yosemite and met with him and chatted, and we had a great time. And so it's kind of a combination, but mostly through other people I knew, or people reading their works or knowing of them before. A show of hands, the montage at the beginning over the opening credits of people saying horrible things about atheists, was that shocking for people here? Were you surprised?
Not if you watch Fox.
Not if you watch Fox. Oh, don't tell me you get Fox here. I'm sorry. On behalf of the United States, I apologize for Fox News. So yeah, so it was pretty shocking. I don't know where it comes from. I think, the U.S. has a very strange history when it comes to religion and religious freedom and religion entangled with government and all sorts of things. I don't know, but it is a strong thing. I had an interesting experience, speaking of coming to Ireland. I arrived here yesterday and I had to go through immigration, right? They said, what are you doing in Ireland? And I said, well, I'm going to this film screening of a film I worked on. Oh, what's the film called? A Better Life? What's it about? It's about atheists. Oh, you're coming to a Catholic country and bringing a film about atheists? Do I still get to come in the country? I did, so yeah. But it is a little nerve-wracking saying that, and I don't know if that's here, but in the United States as well. Like it was weird sometimes for me to say, oh yeah, I'm making a book or I'm making a film about atheists. Ooh, atheists, what's that? And even people who aren't necessarily religious would say, oh, well, I'm not religious, but I'm not an atheist. I don't believe in God, but I'm not an atheist. Wait, what? What do those words mean again? I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't get it. But I have to say, to make that montage at the beginning was not hard. There's so much that wasn't able to go into it. I mean, like that kind of rhetoric is so commonplace. A number of people I spoke to who are gay and atheists across the board said to me their family has a bigger problem with the fact that they're atheists than they're gay. I mean, every single one, not like, oh, one did, but no, all of them have said that to me. What would religious people say? I don't know. I mean, I think they would probably, like Andrew Copson talks about in the film, they would probably try to talk about the sublime feelings they get or the transcendent feelings they get. But I honestly don't think it would have much effect on us because, like Andrew talks about, we have those same feelings about other things and things that are like tangible too, like people, like friends, like those kind of things. So I don't necessarily think they would have much effect, but I don't know what they would say. I mean, it's kind of how they sell religion anyway. I mean, I think transcendence of death is probably something they go for a lot, because I think that's one of the reasons why people are religious, because people want there to be an afterlife. In terms of like putting who gets in the film, I mean, it's a lot about having a variety of backgrounds, but also, it has to be cinematic too. And I couldn't think of anybody that I had that really had a life of service necessarily, that fit that criteria, that really worked in the cohesive mass of the film. But I wouldn't say that people in the film, there's nobody in the film who doesn't do service. I mean, I think Nala is an environmentalist, is a human rights advocate. She works very hard with people over in the UK. I think a lot of people in the film dedicate their lives to helping other people, but not in a traditional I'm a nun or a monk kind of way. So yeah, I would say that there aren't expressly kind of monks and nuns of atheism, but I think the people in the film do represent those ideas anyway. I would have loved to have gotten Bill Gates in my film. But and I wrote to him, but I didn't get anywhere with that. Same with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and Warren Buffett. So, they're too busy helping the world, I guess. I wanted the film to be a variety of voices that we haven't heard from before, in addition to people who we've heard from. And even the people we have heard from, I wanted them to be saying things that were different from the stuff we've always heard them talk about. So that was an intentional thing on my part, to make it as broad as possible, but also have certain people in there that people would already know, so it's not just a bunch of random people you've never heard of. And I hope at least that it was a good mix of, oh, there's that person I know, and then, oh, I don't know this person, but I like them, and then, oh, I like this person, so, getting to know new people and also familiar faces. I get emails from people who are moved by it. I've gotten, I don't know if anybody was at this screening, but people have cried at the film before. People have cried at the book. I mean, to get messages like that is pretty powerful, that I'm doing something right somewhere. It's so hard for me to watch it, by the way. I don't know if anybody saw me kind of squirming in the corner. It's hard when I'm so familiar with it, and also having to hear myself is just not fun. But I still can appreciate it, and so I'm happy that it does impact people in a way that is kind of hard for me to see often, because it's hard to step back and really look at it afresh. But yeah, and I don't get that much hate mail either, which is nice, because it's a positive thing. I think a lot of the people who are atheist activists get a lot more hate mail. You probably get more hate mail than I do. So yeah, I don't get that much. Although somebody commented once on one of my YouTube videos, they said, "Please die in a car crash or other accident," and I really loved that comment for two reasons. One, they said please. And two, they gave me a choice. They're kind of okay with me dying in a car crash or some other accident. They're kind of okay with it. But it's very rare that I get hate mail. But I do get messages from people who say that they really did, get inspired by it, and that's always nice. That you devote 3 years to something, and it actually people like it in the end. That's actually something cool about the book, is I see where all the books are shipped out to, and it's amazing where they've gone. Books in Sudan. There's a book in Saudi Arabia. There's a book in, all over, Argentina and China and Brazil and, Peru and all sorts of places, all over the world. This book has gone. So, and the film too, because it's all digital. It can go anywhere in the world. So, instantaneously. So, it's nice to get it all over the place. But we haven't done a screening yet in Saudi Arabia, but we probably won't. But maybe someday. I haven't really thought about creating a version for schools, mostly because, at least in my context in the United States, you wouldn't be able to get this shown in any school because the school board would just kill it instantly. I don't know how things are in other countries, so I haven't really thought about it. But that's a good point. I mean, I don't know how it is here, but if this were the kind of thing that could be shown in schools, then I would definitely consider making a version that could be for schools. Although it's interesting, you mentioned cutting it down even more. I mean, cutting it down to this length was hard, so there's so much more material that didn't make it in that's really good. It's hard to cut it down even further. So I don't know. Yeah, it's something I should look into, because I guess I just assumed that it wouldn't happen, or for the most part wouldn't happen, but maybe you're right. Maybe it would be a little bit more accessible than I think, because it's been a long time since I was in school. So there's a video from everybody in the book on my YouTube channel. So it's just a 2 to 5 minute clip, but there is something from everyone up there. But there's a lot more stuff. So now that I'm done with the film, I can focus on maybe doing that, because yeah, there's a lot that I think would be good to be put out there. Part of it probably has to do with the label atheist. I mean, I think there are plenty of people who are atheists who wouldn't identify themselves as atheists, probably because I think in order to say you're an atheist, that requires a certain amount of kind of introspection and really looking at something and really, making a stand. And so I'm not sure. So I think just by selection bias, the people who identify as atheists will probably have given a little bit more thought. But there are plenty of people who don't believe in God, who just don't believe in God, and they just haven't really thought about it, and just don't use the label. So that's probably just why people in a film about atheists tend to be people who are more okay with the term and just kind of probably have that intellectual ability to talk about it in a way that many people don't. And hopefully people who don't necessarily have the vocabulary to express how they see things sometimes might see a film like this and think, oh, right, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, but this person says it in a much more articulate way. A.C. Grayling says something and you're like, wow, that's amazing. He could read the phone book and it would be interesting. So yeah, I think it probably has something to do with that, I would imagine, but I don't really know. I think people are generally the same all over for the most part. I haven't looked into the data on that specifically when it comes to atheism, whether or not atheists help out more. I actually, if I remember correctly, I think atheists give less to charity than religious people do. I could be wrong on that. I don't remember specifically where that stat came from, but if I remember correctly, I think it's actually a little less. I think we're changing that. I think as we grow an atheist movement that focuses also on social issues like combating poverty and combating homophobia and things like that. And that's one of the reasons I'm so happy to be here in Ireland with Atheist Ireland, is that you guys are doing so much phenomenal work with the referendum. Every time I talk to Michael or Aisling or anybody, they've always come out from just going to speak to people about it or doing a table session about it or doing a debate or things like that. And that's, I think, as we move more towards groups doing activism like that, I think we'll probably see a change towards more atheists kind of getting more involved in social work like that. Thank you so much. It really was a real honor to be here, and thank you for coming out and watching the film. I hope you liked it. You can let me know. You can email me. You can write a comment on the website. Tell me what you thought. Write a review. But really, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it.